The 1980s gave us neon, synthesizers, and car features so mind-numbingly stupid you'd swear the engineers were high on something. We're talking about technology that seemed futuristic at the time, but was actually a complete disaster. Stick around for number 4 because it literally set cars on fire. Number 1. Motorized automatic seatbelts. If you owned a late 80s car, you definitely remember these mechanical nightmares. In 1984, Transportation Secretary Elizabeth Dole gave automakers a choice: install airbags or use automatic belts. Airbags were expensive. By 1987, these motorized contraptions were everywhere. The shoulder belt glided along a track when you closed the door, wrapping around you automatically. Felt like the future. Here's the problem. The shoulder belt moved automatically, but the lap belt still required manual buckling. Most drivers skipped it entirely. In a crash, that shoulder-only belt would snap across your neck while your body submarined underneath. The injuries were horrific, and the motors failed constantly, trapping people or leaving belts stuck in the wrong position. The whole system existed because automakers refused to spend money on airbags. When studies showed these automatic belts were actually more dangerous than regular 3-point harnesses, regulators finally stepped in. By the mid-90s, manufacturers were allowed to ditch them entirely. Dual airbags became mandatory by 1998. The automatic safety feature turned out to be less safe than the simple manual belt it replaced, a solution to a problem that created entirely new problems. Peak 80s engineering. Number 2. Electronic voice alert systems. Your car would literally talk to you, and it absolutely would not shut up. Knight Rider made everyone want a talking car, and automakers delivered. The 1981 Datsun Maxima was the first in America, followed by Chrysler's Electronic Voice Alert in 1983. Chrysler used the same Texas Instruments chip found in the Speak and Spell toy. It sounded exactly like one too. Available on the LeBaron, Fifth Avenue, and 24 other models. The future had arrived. Here's what nobody expected. The robotic voice would nag you relentlessly. Lights are on. Door is ajar. A door is ajar. Not open. Ajar. Like it's a container for pickles. Datsun's system used an actual miniature phonograph record inside the dashboard. A tiny spinning disc with a tone arm. The warnings repeated endlessly until you complied. You couldn't escape your own car lecturing you about seatbelts. Owners lost their minds. By 1984, Chrysler quietly added a hidden off switch inside the glove box. Dealerships disabled them as goodwill gestures. Marketing studies confirmed the novelty wore off immediately. By 1988, both companies abandoned talking dashboards entirely. The technology worked perfectly. That was the whole problem. Number 3. T-tops. Nothing said the 80s cool like removable roof panels. Nothing said regret like owning them. Smokey and the Bandit made the black Trans Am with T-tops iconic. By the 80s, they showed up on Camaros, Firebirds, Monte Carlos, and Corvettes. Pop those glass panels off and you felt like Burt Reynolds. Open-air freedom without the full convertible commitment. Here's what the movies didn't show you. T-tops leaked constantly. Water seeped through seals no matter how often you replaced them. Removing roof sections weakened structural rigidity, causing flex and twist under acceleration. The framework rusted relentlessly, often invisibly. Glass panels turned scorching in summer, and the rattling at highway speeds never stopped. Water damage destroyed interiors, and rusted out floor pans from within. Structural weakness raised serious rollover safety concerns. The option cost $850 in 1984. Many enthusiasts now specifically avoid T-Tops cars when buying classics. The last ones rolled off the line with the final Camaros and Firebirds in 2002. The feature looked like pure freedom, but delivered nothing but endless maintenance headaches. Perfect for photographs, absolute torture for actual ownership. Some hard lessons only a good rainstorm can teach. Number 4. The Pontiac Fiero engine bay. This one literally burned cars to the ground. The 1984 Fiero was America's first mass-produced mid-engine sports car. It paced the Indianapolis 500. Car and Driver put it on their 10 best list. For around $8,000, you got something that looked exotic. Pontiac sold over 370,000 of them. The name meant very proud in Italian. Here's the terrifying part. Pontiac used a 3-quart oil pan instead of the standard 4-quart. The engine ran hot. Internal memos revealed that up to 1 in 10 connecting rods were defectively cast. The wiring harness sat way too close to the exhaust manifolds. Oil would leak onto hot components and ignite. 2 Fieros caught fire during test drives at GM's own proving grounds in October 1983. By summer 1987, fires hit 20 per month. 1 in every 508 cars sold eventually burned. GM recalled over 136,000 vehicles in November 1987, announcing it the evening before Thanksgiving to minimize publicity. They blamed owners for not checking oil. Some customers signed non-disclosure agreements before receiving warranty repairs. Production ended in 1988. Fiero sounds an awful lot like fire. Turns out the name was prophetic. Number 5. Digital dashboards. The 80s convinced everyone that glowing LED displays were the future of driving. Knight Rider's kit made digital gauges the ultimate symbol of automotive technology. Corvettes, Transams, Nissan 300ZXs, Lincoln Town Cars all got them. LED bar graph tachometers and glowing speedometers in green and amber. Your dashboard looked like a spaceship cockpit. Pure 80s excess. Here's what nobody mentioned. Those displays became invisible in bright sunlight, completely washed out. Cold weather made LCD segments sluggish or dead. Individual segments failed, leaving speedometers reading 1 blank blank instead of 100. Repairs meant replacing entire units at staggering expense. And those flashy animations constantly pulled your eyes off the road. By the early 90s, manufacturers quietly returned to analog gauges. Digital clusters quickly became synonymous with dated, cheap 80s cars. Parts disappeared entirely, leaving owners with permanently broken displays. Many surviving 80s vehicles have non-functional dashboards today. Modern clusters use completely different technology. The 80s versions are essentially unrepairable artifacts now. Turns out a simple spinning needle was actually easier to read than glowing rectangles. The future arrived decades too early and aged terribly. Sometimes the analog solution just works better. Number 6. The Buick Riviera's CRT touchscreen. The very first car touchscreen was also an absolute disaster. The 1986 Buick Riviera made history as the first production car with a touchscreen. Buick called it the Graphic Control Center, a monochrome green CRT display controlling climate, radio, and diagnostics. GM chairman Roger Smith believed this would keep GM ahead of everyone. It was standard on every single Riviera. Here's the real issue. The CRT needed seconds to warm up before showing anything. The screen was 3 by 4 inches with tiny touch targets impossible to hit while driving. Journalist Brock Yates called it a bad joke in 1986. Colleague Rich Sepos called it a handful. It was slower than regular knobs and dangerously distracting. Riviera sales collapsed by 70% that year. Buick extended the technology to the Reatta and Toronado Trofeo anyway. By 1990, they abandoned it entirely for physical controls. Critics joked that it transformed trips to the convenience store into cockpit simulations. Car touchscreens wouldn't be accepted for another 2 decades. Being first doesn't mean being right. Sometimes you're just the guinea pig for technology that needs 20 years to mature. Buick learned that the hard way. So there you have it. 6 features from the 1980s that seemed brilliant at the time, but were actually engineering disasters waiting to happen. Every one of these was somebody's idea of innovation, and every one of them failed spectacularly. The decade of excess gave us excess problems too. If you enjoyed this trip through automotive history's Hall of Shame, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling me which one you actually remember. I'll see you in the next one.